Tony needs to eat! Timothy, I'm getting a bad feeling about you.
I ain't afraid to die anymore. I've done it already.
Let's have some fucking water for these animals!
What's happening, everybody? Yams here with another Ramblings review for you. I have just seen The Revenant, and I find myself sorting through some very mixed feelings about it. I've been hearing good things about it in the time building up to its release, and while I'm not the type of person who is swayed by hype or the opinions of others on a movie I have yet to see for myself, I am always happy to hear when something is being praised because in my silly mind it increases the likelihood of it being worth my while. But before anybody was saying anything about the movie, I was looking forward to it based solely on the prospect of Alejandro and Chivo collaborating on another project together fresh off their success with The Birdman. And on a purely technical level, it is, with little doubt, among the best movies of the year. From its opening moments, it is made clear as crystal who the star of this movie is, and it ain't Leo. It ain't Tom Hardy either. It isn't anybody who appears on camera. It is director of photography, Chivo. The movie sucks you in with a truly spectacular battle sequence which features a free-roaming camera tracking various participants in the fray up until the moment they meet their end. It is dazzling, and it adds extra layers of drama to see these people, these grunts, navigate the battlefield and their own little mini-stories. It is one of the few instances in this film where the technicality of the filmmaking serves to enhance what is happening on screen. For its first 30 to 40 minutes, it seems like the movie can do no wrong, excluding a cheesy bit in the very beginning with Leo speaking to his young native son about breathing and surviving. But after he's been raped by the bear and left for dead, the movie begins its downward slope into monotony, hoping that its excessive, empty, and ironically sterile ruthlessness will hold you over to the end credits. Also, I am confirming it right here and now, Leo is in fact raped by a bear in this movie. It is vicious, it is glorious, and what's more, what nobody saw coming, is later on, and what I can only describe as some last-ditch effort to reclaim some semblance of the masculinity he felt was stolen from him by the bear, Leo rapes a horse. I'm not going to say too much, but what I will say is that he gets really deep into that horse. But forgive my digression, we are getting back on track now. I'd like to say that I am no prude, and I find it quite thrilling to watch violent things happen in movies. But in the case of The Revenant, at a certain point, the violence just feels so matter-of-fact. The movie goes out of its way to sell you on the grit and brutality of the environment, but there is such a disconnect between us and its characters. Most of what we are feeling is compulsory. We aren't responding so much to the plight of Hugh Glass in his quest for vengeance as we are just seeing a man have to crawl in the dirt through the snow with his throat slashed up and having to put a bunch of nasty things in his mouth in order to survive. The most flattering lens to view this movie under is that of a survival film, but even then the movie goes out of its way to imply some greater meaning, where there is none, through the use of hokey Indian vision quests for Leo. It's as if the movie itself knows how hollow it is, and it's trying to make up for it with vague, photogenic images relating to the slaughter of natives. Don't get me wrong, the images are divinely shot by Emmanuel, and I'm happy to view anything through the lens of his camera, but they don't amount to much more than pretty distractions that further bloat the running time. Performance-wise, I'd have to say it's grumbling Tom Hardy that steals the show. His character is simplistic and predictable, but Hardy just owns it. He is easily the most entertaining character to watch. Leo is, on the other hand, okay. He shouts, he reels, he grimaces, and he speaks a little Indian from time to time. It's fine, it is, but there just isn't much to it. I can't differentiate one grunt from another when so much of his performance is nothing but grunts with the same vacant expression on his face for most scenes. If this is the performance that wins Leo the Oscar, I only have 3 words for the Academy. What the fuck? This is a movie that is driven more by its tone than it is its characters, and it is fully committed to being as cold, gruesome, and unwelcoming as possible, to the point where it can implode in on itself and you just find yourself trying not to laugh. I see a movie here that is torn between wanting to be a simple revenge story and a primal examination of the savagery of man framed within a simple revenge story. Unfortunately, it is much too long and drawn out to be an exciting and satisfying revenge story, and much too banal and surface level to be an examination of, well, anything. What we are left with is a film that is a technical marvel that fails to leave much of a lasting impression beyond the superficial, and I suspect the experience won't be much better the second time around. Upon writing my thoughts down for this movie, I'm really surprised how negative they are. I want to make one thing perfectly clear and say that I don't think this is a bad movie. Not at all. I want to give credit where credit is due. I have a lot of respect for people who go out into the wild to shoot their movie. And if there is anything that anybody knows about this movie, the thing that we are almost made to know about it is that it was difficult to make. This movie is never brought up without somebody talking about how difficult it was to make. Did you know it? Which is kind of sad because the making of the movie is probably infinitely more interesting than the movie itself turned out to be. I must again reiterate that this is not a bad movie. If you're an asshole film snob like me, then the technical prowess of the film alone is enough to warrant buying a ticket. That and the movie itself being so unapologetic for what it is. I have a lot of respect for the film, the crew, and the work to put this together. The effort is admirable. It's just a shame that I find myself feeling so indifferent to the end product. I'm going to give this a hesitant recommendation. A lot of you are going to think this movie is baller as fuck and just the greatest thing ever, and a lot of you are going to hate this movie and just not get what all the fuss is about. I find myself in the middle of that, but at the end of the day, I would say that it is worth at least one viewing at some point in your life. If I am forced to give it a rating, I am feeling very comfortable with a 6 right now. Not saying this couldn't change over time, but even then, I don't see it getting any higher than a 7. But that's if you really want to focus on the number at the end of this. I just kind of recommended it, so it has to be worth something, right? Go check it out if you're feeling kind of adventurous. Maybe you'll really like it. Maybe you'll like it more than me. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up, so I want to thank you very much for tuning in with me. I will be back shortly. And as always, catch you later. Ta-ta.